Hello, everybody. It's Thursday. It's a little better. It's just been a rough day, a couple days and stuff. Side still hurts, but I have to deal with it till I can get some kind of medical. Only reason why I'm wearing a house coat because I'm cold. I'm dressed, but I'm cold. Let's hope he gets his medical card pretty soon so we can deal with his medicine. See, I have a total freak out over that. A big jacket and stuff. It's like 71 degrees out there, so, outside, but it still feels chilly because of the wind. So, let's see, what can we talk about today? I've already talked about my opinion about how SNAP is now allowing people to eat junk food, which I find it ridiculous because there are people that need the sugar intake and, candy and stuff will bring them back to, their wits and stuff. My spouse suffered from that problem. There's so much going on. you know, I don't understand why people gotta hate up people. I mean, come on. There's so much of that going on in the media. The so-called war with Iran, which is not really a war, but this is what I mean. I don't understand why we have to go to war with people just because of their religion. And I wonder about them too, why they expect to go to war over our religion. There's many religions in the world, and there's many people that don't believe in God and don't believe in Buddha and don't believe in Muhammad and Allah and all that. There's innocent people that are involved when these wars are carrying on. I mean, as a soldier's daughter, I remember my dad having to go off to war, and my two older brothers, because they were old enough. I'm talking of Vietnam War, not one we shouldn't have been in, but war. And had President Kennedy not been killed, I think we would not have been in that war, or not right away in that war. But fighting over religion is wrong. I mean, we all have our own ways of belief. I believe in God, but I respect other people's religion. Hey, if you're Buddhist, cool. Muslim, same thing. And before you start blaming one religion for the problems of the world, maybe you need to look at yourselves and see what you can do to help make it a better world. Making it a better world would mean stop war. I mean, when it comes to our country, you got to remember we sort of pushed the Native American people out. I can't say the other word that describes them that starts with an I because I don't have any teeth. I can't say indigenous. Well, I got it out a little bit better, but it doesn't come out like that all the time. Anyway, it comes to the point where you need to understand that, there's a time to stop war. There's a time to, negotiate. these world's leaders that we have all over the world need to understand that, there's different countries that have different customs and different religions and different this and that. And we need to respect each other. Yeah, like China. China is actually communist. And I don't. I would never follow the communist way of thinking. But it works for them over there. That's how, and the people are, dealing with it. I'm sure they wish they could have a little more freedom, but, they don't push it because it is a communist country. Same thing with North Korea, that's their life, that's the way they deal with it, If it works for them, it works for them. Democracy works for us, even though a lot of people don't like the president that's in office now, including me. He's still the president. There'll be another president in 2029, because let's face it, he can't run, no matter how bad you guys want him to. It's illegal for him to do it. Now, he could probably be like a vice president, because he hasn't been that, but and I'm not hating on him. I mean, I like him. I don't like what he's doing, but because he's in an office that I was brought up to respect, I respect the office. I'll be happy when he's not in office anymore. But he's, because he's creating more problems for the next one to come in. Whether, the next one will be Republican, Democrat, or whatever. And y'all need to stop thinking that all Democrats are evil, because they're not, okay? There was a time when Democrats were Republicans and Republicans were Democrats. I mean, that was over 200 years ago, but still. But you also need to understand that, there's evil in the Republican Party, there's evil in the Democratic Party, there's evil in the Liberal, there's independent. Any party you come up with, there's gonna be evil as well as good. I mean, it's not the party that makes them that way, it's who they are inside, what they believe and who they are. So, with that being said, we need to stand up and say enough's enough. We need to let the president know enough's enough with this going to war stuff. There's innocent people that are going to be involved in this. There's soldiers that are going to be killed. There's already been some because of this. No parent should lose their child to war. And there have been plenty of wars to prove that. The troops, they don't get paid enough to die in the line of duty where their families are taken care of. That's honest truth. Okay, once a soldier dies, there might be a little pension, for the wife. But there's nothing for the kids to, be raised on that are military kids. I grew up with a military father. So I know. Any time my dad was away at war could have been his last day. But luckily he survived it. Luckily my brother survived it. I am very, appreciative of, God protecting them and the ones that did come back. And I pray for the ones that didn't come back. It's going to be the same in this situation too. And people need to understand this. That war is not just for looks. People die. Your loved ones can die if they have to go over there and fight a war. They can only do so much. It depends on who's got the better fight out of them. But I'm telling you, stop standing up for this war crap. Because the only thing is, it's going to be your loved ones going. According to the country, I only have the one son because my two other ones were given up for adoption as babies. Okay? I do have a biological daughter that's in the Navy. So yeah, I'm going to be worried about her having to go into that situation because she has two boys at home that will need their mom. But they still have their biological father in their life. Now, I'll just say biological father. I'm not going to comment about what he is because I don't know. Anyway, just remember that. You're gonna be all gung ho about war. This is what you're gonna end up with. Your loved ones going and maybe not coming back. And that happens in every war. Just like when the Vietnam War was going. We didn't know if my brothers and my dad was coming back. Thank God they did. But for everyone that came back, 100 of them were left behind in the POW camps, and we'll take it from there. Okay, thanks for watching. I wanted to make this a little shorter because I don't know if, he's going to come back up here or not, but I'll go on a little bit more until I see him. So I'll already say thanks for watching. Anyway, this war stuff's got to stop. It does. I mean, kids are going to be left without parents on both sides. And it doesn't mean, I believe the way the Muslims do, because, you need to go find one that is printed out in English and understand the Quran, okay? Because I don't think they expect everything to be like this, I'm just saying, war's not romantic, it's not pretty. It's devastating. People lose their lives that aren't even involved in the conflict, that, just work day to day, take care of their families, take care of, their needs, their bills. And then they're in the middle of getting bombed because of a war. World War II was a different situation. We wouldn't have even been involved in that war had it not been for the Japanese bombing Pearl Harbor. No, we didn't like what was going on once we knew what was going on in Europe, but that doesn't mean we were going to be a part of it until Pearl Harbor. I mean, we have been lucky for the past almost 300 years not to get invaded by other people, by other countries. Because, we're talking like 1812 could have went a whole different way. So could have the Revolutionary War. But it happened to go the way we wanted it to. So just remember, don't wish for war because you'll see what happens. All right, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Bye. Have a good day.